Hey there, welcome back to 358 Outdoors. Today we start talking about the 358 Winchester. You know, it's one of those rounds that obviously not popular at all. Frankly, very few people have ever heard of it. But you know, it's one of those rounds that people that do own them absolutely love them and won't part with them because they know how extremely versatile and incredibly useful that 358 is. Those that bash the 358 or speak of it as, you know, only capable of being a brush or short range affair, they just don't have any experience with the cartridge. So and it's unfortunate because it truly is one of those cartridges that should be, based on its performance, should be way more popular and more widely used than it is. So anyways, we're going to start talking about it today. We're starting out at the range. I've been working on some load development for our trip to Africa a year from September. I was hoping to use the 225 Woodley, but due to a factory fire back a couple years ago, I'm just afraid that they're not going to be up to full production by the time we leave, and I only have a limited supply of them. So instead of running that risk, I've switched to the Barnes 200 grain TTSX, and we're at the range again today, trying a new powder, RL-10. I've never used that powder before, but man alive, does that make the 358 come alive. Almost too much so. I'm getting some velocities that I kind of scratch my head wondering if I might be a little over pressured. I don't see any of your typical pressure signs with the case or bolt extraction, case extraction. I don't see anything there. I may have to measure the head of the case to make sure, or the web of the case, to make sure that's not expanding beyond limits. So, but anyways, let's get to the range. I think you'll be surprised at what you find out and what you see. So, anyways, I appreciate you being here. I'll talk to you soon. We're back at the range, and unfortunately, I was at the range last week and I did not get that on film. But doing some load work up for the 358 and our trip to Africa for September of 2025. Basically, we're shooting the 200 grain Barnes TTSX. I'm using powder RL-10. Started out at 44 grains and worked my way up to 46. There is no pressure signs with 46, so here I'm back at the range. I'm going to go up to 46 and a half. Now the velocities we were getting were pretty decent, and the group size, they were also decent. But I figured, you know what? Let's see if we can't go up another half grain and see what we get. So anyways, that's what we're here for, and let's get to it. Alright guys, 7-shot average came in at 2,698 feet per second. With a 200 grain bullet on a 308 size case, this is pretty impressive. And this all came without any stiff bolt lift, pierce primer, crater primer, flatten primer. It had none of that, so I was pretty surprised. But anyways, the downside to this load was that the accuracy came in about 1.5 inches. So it certainly needs some work. This rifle is a sub MOA rifle. I've experienced that with multiple loads. So it certainly has some work to do, whether it's adjusting the seating depth or switching over to a different primer. I got to do something to try to accomplish that goal. But at the end of the day, if I can do that, that would be fantastic, and I would certainly be sold on this powder and bullet combination. But when we do plug these numbers into the Ballistic program, what does that look like? Alright guys, so when we put this into the computer, this is what it looks like. At the muzzle, you're generating 3,232 foot-pounds, which is really pretty great for a short action case. At 100 yards, you are 2,717 pounds of energy. You're 2 inches high. You're 0 at 200 with well over a ton of energy, 2,269 pounds. And then out to 300 yards, you are 9 inches low, arriving with 1,881 pounds of energy. Now, when you compare that to your 308, your 708, your 260, 6.5 Creedmoor, you are within literally a couple inches of any of those out to 300 yards with a 200-yard zero. And nobody considers any of those listed as short-range cartridges. And furthermore, you're getting there with a much heavier, larger diameter bullet, which is going to provide more tissue destruction and more damage for you. Not to mention, when we look at elk hunting, the experts say you need 1,500 pounds minimum to do the job. In this case, the 358 Winchester is going to cross that 1,500 pound threshold somewhere between 370 and 400 yards. So to those that say this is a short range only affair, it's just simply not the case. The 358 is certainly capable out to 300. I probably wouldn't go to 400, but certainly if you needed to in a pinch, you could. All right, so those are some pretty sweet numbers put up today by the 358. I'm pretty happy with them. Not real thrilled in the accuracy department or the group department. That's certainly got some work to do there. But performance-wise, I could not ask for anything more, and frankly, a little surprised. So we are just starting to pull back the covers a little bit on the 358 Winchester and what its full potential is. And I'm excited to share this with you guys. And I am grateful for the others that are out there shedding light on the 358 as well. It's one of those cartridges that's vastly underrated. It's got so much more potential than what people give it credit for. So that's my goal. That's my aim here with what we're doing. So in videos to come, we're going to be talking about the 358 as it compares to its siblings. Not just the cartridges in the 308 family, but up against a 7 mag or the modern cartridges, a 6.5 PRC and such. And where does this 358 really fall? So I'm really excited to get to those and share those with you. Those will be coming out here shortly, so stay tuned. Appreciate you being here at 358 Outdoors. God bless. See you next time.
Do you get her?